Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to G&G Live, where we just go on a little bit about some legal issues that you have questions about that we see a lot come up and want to get information out to you as quickly and efficiently as we can. It's the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope 2022 is starting out well. Hope it continues well for everybody. And in the 2022, at the beginning of the new year, oftentimes people do start a lot of businesses. It's a time for new beginnings, and new beginnings often come along with a new business. And with that, a lot of new businesses see a lot of scams. There are a bunch of companies out there who will monitor the Secretary of State's website and look out for new businesses being formed, and then when they're formed, try and rake them for all that they're worth. So we are here, I'm here, Ian, the office manager for G&G Law, with our of counsel tax attorney, Jennifer Brugh. She does wonderful work with our LLC clients and PLLC clients, getting them set up all the way from the beginning, all the way through formation, helping them with tax questions and business questions and figuring out what the right way to set up their business is, also advising on stuff exactly like this. So today we have the 5 most common LLC scams that we see. We're going to tell you what they are, how to recognize them, and how to tell if something is legitimate. So of course, just a quick little disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. What we say isn't tailored to any specific business, and as such, this is not legal advice. There's no attorney-client confidentiality. We can't guarantee that our information is going to be accurate for every circumstance, but if you do have a specific question or you would like to learn a little bit more, feel free to get in touch. You can find us on our website, gglawoffices.com, or you can hit us on Facebook, you can send us an email, give us a call, and we'll get back to you as soon as we get it. So without further ado, let me open this up here and we'll go ahead and get started. So let's just go ahead and get started with click. There's the click. Jen, why don't you just introduce us a little bit with the kind of the mindset, like what do people usually tell you when they get one of these letters and they're not quite sure what to make of it?
Okay. We frequently get contacts from clients, usually within about the first 2 weeks after we've set up their LLC and gotten them all formed. They'll get a piece of mail informing them that they need to pay more money to another department in order to make their LLC final. Like I said, it usually comes by an email, and it's usually like, what is this? Is this legit? Do I need to pay this? Kind of email, and the answer is generally no.
Usually not. And so they come and they're usually pretty stressed out a little bit. You're just starting your business. You have a lot to take care of and you don't want to mess up right out the gate. So the threat of not paying something that you're supposed to pay is can loom rather large. And then there's a sense of relief that you get after you figure out that you can just ignore that and you can carry on with business as normal.
Yes.
So we'll get right into the scams here. The first one is a certificate of status request form. Jen, can you tell us a little bit about that?
All right, so this one usually comes, it comes from the, sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the agency. A non-governmental service called the Illinois Certificate Service. And it looks like an official letter. It tells you that you need to pay an $87 fee to have a certificate of status. This is a scam. These are not required. If you ever did need something of that nature, there is something called a certificate of good standing, which is offered by the Secretary of State, and you can get that directly from their website for a small fee of $25 if you're a corporation or an LLC, $5 for nonprofits, but you don't need to pay a separate agency to get that for you.
Yeah, it's really insidious because it's right adjacent to something that you'll find. It's very close to that certificate of good standing. And so the two are easily confused, which is, I think, probably why they're trying to run this con. But with a little bit of foreknowledge, you can avoid that.
Yes.
The second most common scam that we see these two come in very regularly, is about labor laws and staying compliant with posters. Jen, what's this one about?
Yeah, so in this one, it's another non-governmental agency that'll send you a letter, and it's the agency's title is LLCs. So, right, it looks just like an LLC, seems like it has to do with LLCs, but it doesn't. And it says that, in order to comply with labor laws, you need to pay them a fee, and they'll send you these posters that you're required to put up in your business. There are labor law posters that you should have if you have employees, but you should get those from the Department of Labor. The US Department of Labor offers those posters for free to every employer, so there's no reason to ever pay a fee for those.
They even, if I remember correctly, have a little finder down at the bottom of their website, so you can find labor posters that are right for you depending on your state and your industry and the size of your business, because there are a few different posters that are required, if I'm remembering correctly. Depending on those factors, but they're all offered for free and not something that you should have to pay for. 100%, 100%. And again, this one looks very close to something that's legitimate. It's something that you might not know anything about. And so it's also something that as a new business owner, you would be worried about. If there's things that you need so you can stay compliant right out of the gate, then of course you need to get those. But the thing is, you don't have to pay for these.
Correct.
Now, the third one is annual record solicitation form. Jen, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes. So this one comes from someone that calls themselves the Illinois Council for Corporations. It's an attempt to collect a $150 fee from a new business for what they call an annual record solicitation form. These are not required by law, and you don't need to respond to this letter or have this form. You do, if you have an LLC or a corporation, you do file an annual report, which this one is made to sound like. But that annual report is filed directly through the Secretary of State, not through any other entity. And so you shouldn't be paying somebody else. I mean, you can pay someone to do your annual report. I guess I should say that. You can hire an attorney or your CPA to do that for you, but make sure it's somebody you know, somebody legit. There's not a separate agency. The Illinois Council for Corporations is not a real entity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So these first three that we talked about were all related to the Secretary of State, specifically filings with those. And now we're moving out of that arena into a couple of other common LLC scams that we see with dealing with other aspects of the business. Now, this one we saw a lot at the beginning of the pandemic when people were, a lot of people were out of work, and it's the false unemployment claims. Of course, a lot of those claims were legitimate, but there were also some people taking advantage of the crisis and people who continue to take advantage of the system to try and get money that is not theirs. Jen, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so there's two sides or two ways that we see this one come through. The first one is the employer receives a notice that a former employee has filed an unemployment claim against them. Typically, when I've seen these, they have been employees who have been gone for a long time, so it doesn't really make sense that they would now be filing an unemployment claim. As an example, a friend of mine who owns a small business received a notice that an employee who had left her employment 2 years prior had filed a claim. Reached out to that employee, it wasn't them. So then, of course, she notified the unemployment office to let them know that this was not a legitimate claim. The second way that we see it is that your employee will receive a notice that their unemployment claim is being processed. If an individual gets one of those notices, there is a number in the letter to call to alert them that it was not you who filed it. So those are the two different ways we've seen those come through.
Mm-hmm. And that second one actually happened to me last year, 2 years ago, sometime. Time is fake. And so it's interesting seeing both sides of that come through. And the last one that we have deals with the IRS. And if there was one boogeyman in every business's closet, it's the IRS. Fortunately, Jen knows a lot about them and how to recognize what they do, what they don't send, and what they do and what they don't require, such as these fake IRS letters. How do they tie in with the broader picture that we've been discussing here, Jen?
So a lot of times there's a lot of scammers out there who obviously if they can get a hold of your IRS information, that gives them a whole lot of access to your financials, your financial accounts, things like that. And so they will send these letters that look like they're IRS letters. They look like they're from a government entity, but they're not. So one easy way to tell a legitimate IRS letter is all IRS notices are required to have either what they call a CP notice number or a letter number. So you'll see either CP and then a 3 or 4 digit number, or LTR and a 3 or 4 digit number in either the top right or the bottom right corner of the letter. If you're unsure if the letter is for real, then it's a great idea to give the IRS a call. Their number is really easy. It's 800-829-1040. They'll tell you if they have a letter that they've issued for you. If not, reach out to a tax attorney.
Yeah, that's one thing, that common thread that we see throughout a lot of these is that they're claiming to be from a government agency or look like they're from a government agency. But a lot of them aren't actually quite. So we mentioned at the beginning with the solicitation form and the certificate of status scam and the labor law poster scam, they're from a private company. They're not from the Secretary of State itself. And then here with the IRS, it's lacking some essential identifying information that you find on IRS communiques. I think that's right, Jen?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
that's one of the ways that you can identify it. It's definitely one of the downsides of forming an LLC, if you do it on your own or if you do it through an online service, is that it's hard to get answers when confusing situations like this come up. It's really beneficial to have a person that you can talk to, that you can reach out to. And if you do it either by yourself or online, then you might not have the resources just on hand to drop a quick question and say, hey, is this legitimate? Is this actually something that I need to worry about? Or is someone trying to have me over? Now, there are, of course, other scams. These are the top 5, but they are it's far from a comprehensive list. Be vigilant. Ask if you're unsure, because you don't want to be scammed. And questions are usually free. It never hurts to ask. It never hurts to ask, and just make sure that you're paying something that you need to pay, or that you're not paying something that you don't need to pay. Here at G&G Law, we're on our mission to make legal services accessible to small businesses. We charge flat fees as much as possible. This is one of the things that we help with. We can help you and your business deal with these kinds of scams. When we form an LLC, this is part of the process, or a PLLC. At the end, we are available for these kinds of questions to come up. You can just email your attorney and say, hey, we got this. Like Jen was saying, we've got a lot of clients who in the first couple of weeks after they form their business receive this letter, and they send it over to us, and we're quickly able to identify it and as usually one of these common scams, and say, no, it's nothing that you need to worry about. We do other things as well at G&G Law. We, of course, form businesses, answer these kinds of questions. We do some employment issues, talking about those labor law posters, making sure that your business is in compliance with that, and also with the laws that they detail and that those posters explain. We do trademarks, help you protect your business in that regard. We have some contract services available if you have contracts that you would like reviewed or drafted. We're a good resource for that as well. Same thing with leases for your business. Yeah, so thanks for watching. This is a pretty quick and dirty live stream here at G&G Live, but as always, it's a pleasure to have you all here. It's a pleasure to have Jen here, and we'd love to learn more about your business, about how we can help you get going and keep growing. Here's our website, gglawoffices.com. You can reach out there, or like I said at the beginning, you can drop us a line on Facebook, you can give us a call, we'll find a way to get in touch and we'll start a conversation. I hope everybody stays safe and healthy out there, and stay smart, stay vigilant, because not everybody's a good actor. All right. That will do it for this episode of G&G Live. We'll see you on the next one.